So let's say welcome to this session where we will present what we think is an efficient way of tracking and predicting raw material price developments. And who are we that we do that? I am Lovisa Söderholm. I am then the VP Procurement for in Volvo Cars. And we have also you, Michael.
Hi there, I'm Michael, a partner with HNZ, responsible for our cost value engineering activities. I've been working with Volvo now for a couple of months on this interesting project, and we are of course excited to present some of the information from this project back to the audience today. So welcome everybody.
Yeah, very welcome. So if we then move to the next slide, then here is then the agenda for today. We will very briefly go through the procurement of Volvo. We will look in briefly to the raw material challenge, then the prediction model at Volvo, and then we will have a Q&A session. And please feel free to post your Q&As or not the Q&As, but your questions anyway in the Q&A part of this session. Okay, so why don't we start then with the procurement at Volvo? So Volvo Cars Procurement Organization, we are a global organization. We have Volvo in general. We have sold cars last year around 700,000. We are around 40,000 employees. We have a revenue of 263 billion and we have had a very good year last year with 8.5 billion in year. So growing company, very exciting company on really a change journey towards electrification and sustainability. Next slide, please, Michael. Here you also see our global presence. We have sales in over 100 countries. We have also different locations where we operate out from in Americas, California, we have a factory in Charleston, and we also have an office in New Jersey. In Europe, we have two main manufacturing sites, which is in Gothenburg and also one in Ghent, and we have our global head office and also where procurement is mainly sitting in Europe. We also are having procurement in Americas, and then we have also our Asia Pacific organization with several knockdown factories in Bangalore, Kuala Lumpur, and also then our factories in Chengdu, Lushao, and Daqing, and the office in Shanghai. So very, very global with global operations and also procurement organizations that are mainly then sitting in Charleston, in Gothenburg, and in Shanghai. Next slide, please. So if you then look just purely look into the procurement in numbers, high numbers. So we have around more than 2,000 supply sites that we are managing. We have around 15,000 parts. We have the indirect material organization where we have around 12,000 suppliers in 198,000 orders. And as we said, we have 6 car plants and we are globally then in 3 regions handling all these 700,000 cars, which for Volvo Cars is actually a new record. So very exciting journey for us as a company. Next slide, please. The purpose, and I think that is also connecting very closely to what we are going to talk here today, Michael, is we are actually shaping a competitive value chain that deliver personal, sustainable, and safe mobility today and tomorrow. We have 5 focus areas. We're talking about early involvement, value chain optimization, sustainability, efficiency, and also people. And the program where Michael and I then with NH and other colleagues in Volvo and in HNZ are working on is really the value chain optimization and how can we make efficient control of the raw material that we are buying. So thank you. That was just a brief introduction from Volvo part.
Thank you, Lovisa. I'm then taking over for the next 2 chapters. First of all, I would like to introduce the raw material challenge at Volvo. As you have now seen, the organization of Volvo and the challenge of this size of company is actually quite significant. And to be leading edge in procurement, of course, you need special information, you need high intelligence, and you need to be able to make the right decisions. And we've been able to support Volvo here to improve this knowledge on raw material costs. So what is overall the challenge? As you can imagine, and I'm sure all of you face similar issues in your companies at the moment, the markets are quite dynamic at the moment. And this, of course, offers, especially in the area of raw materials, certain threats and opportunities for each company. Volvo already before the challenge in a really smart forecast identified that there's a need to build more knowledge on raw material prices, more raw material price developments to really stay ahead of those challenges. And therefore, this project was initiated, which has the purpose to have a better insight on raw materials at the moment, also about raw material prices of the past, as well as including some forecasting opportunities for raw materials to make also decisions towards the future. So one of those situations or use cases that we've identified in this area is, of course, how to handle supplier claims, how to also identify for Volvo opportunities on raw materials, how to also improve the transparency on raw material costs overall, and how to make this less manual. Of course, this challenge is not new. It's also not been new to the procurement department of Volvo, but the level of automation and process integration should be improved during this project to make it easier for every single purchaser to leverage this information. So the different situations here in this chart displaying that, of course, there are certain claims that need to be handled, need to be decided. These raw material prices, are they really increasing? How much are they increasing? What is a fair compensation for the supplier? There are also other areas where Volvo wants to have some insights on raw materials to either direct or recommend the supplier on alternative materials, as well as finding some opportunities where actually raw materials are going down or should be compensated for Volvo. And we have built a whole system that make those decisions and those use cases actually quite easy for the Volvo procurement department. So what we have jointly done, and this was of course involving a large team of Lovisa as well as our data experts and consultants, we have collected information from different sources. So starting with the Volvo spend volume, starting with specific product data, especially the material information and the material consumption. We've also reviewed certain contract clauses, as well as used invoice data. And in addition to this Volvo specific data, also added a lot of different market indices for different raw materials, plastics, metals, and so on, to build a joint data cube that then our data analytics team analyzed to make certain recommendations. Some of them are actually going automatically now to the buyer, look at this specific part, look at those contracts, look at this situation, as well as some elements where in the future there should be automated price updates already in the system, depending on the contract situation. Now, part of the next step is, of course, to also integrate the supplier into the system, as well by providing certain information, as well as making predictions for decisions that are addressing the future. So the system that we have installed at Volvo is fully integrated in the Volvo IT system. So the buyer is actually, or the purchasers are working in their usual interface. They can build certain reports there. So the information that is provided now is that each buyer can make a watch list, can look at his specific article codes and seeing the price deviations of those materials. You can get warnings. You can also export the information to different formats, Excel and PDF. And you can also make automated price updates or cost calculations or lump sum calculations for either a claim or an opportunity for decreasing the prices with the suppliers. This is all based on a single sign-on within Volvo. Anything to add, Louisa? Louisa, are you still connected? Okay, then let me go ahead. The next challenge then in this project was, of course, if we have all this information, if we have the market intelligence, if we have the specific information about the indexes, how can we use it to make predictions? And of course, we are very realistic about this, and Volvo especially is very realistic about this. The prediction capabilities depend on the time horizon. So how far away in the future do we want to make a prediction? What is the reliability of the prediction, and how can we use it to make decisions at Volvo? So this is the big question that we were trying to answer there. Now, the prediction model that we have built is now piloted. So it improved our data lake even further. So we added information from different currencies, from different country inflations, from additional information coming from different data brokers. We've also added different energy costs of different countries to really improve the data lake, and then merged it with the Volvo Spend Cube. And this then, based on an advanced data analytics exercise, was analyzed with different methods. So first of all, we have looked at what are actually correlations in the value chain. So how do certain raw material develop and what impact will it have on the end product? So this is more the first analytic, which is more value chain based. So there's a clear correlation between preliminary product and end product. The second algorithm that we've used was similar to the stock market analytics, where you do an index chart analytics. And the third method we've used was some deep learning. And this logic, these big data algorithms, they look at all the information we have in our data lake and find correlations. Some of them may have a logical connection, some of them may not. And we have merged those three different ways of looking at the data into one consistent overview. And this method has then been tested, and of course then gives at the moment certain recommendations, still again in a piloting phase, not fully implemented. So either a soft or hard recommendation, and then gives some additional insights depending on, should you give a recommendation to the supplier to either buy or not buy raw material? Should you give a recommendation to the buyer to make a negotiation? What should be the target of the negotiation? What it would be a good time to make this negotiation, and so on. So when doing this pilot, we've also, of course, looked at the reliability of our forecasting mechanisms, and therefore also identified what is the average percentage error of our forecasting based on the three different algorithms, and saw that most of them, so especially the first one, which has this clear logical connection between preliminary product and end product, as well as the deep learning algorithms, they show very good correlation. Index chart was the method which did not work too well. But still, we use all three different sources, then factoring, of course, with a certain factor that we've also identified during the project to make the to get the result of this calculation. So this is the status of the forecasting algorithms at Volvo, and we are of course continuing the work there, as well as continuing the work on the raw material challenge overall. Louisa,
Hi, Michael. Lovisa, I'm back. I had some technical problems, and also hi everyone who's listening. So I'm not sure if there were any specific comments that you expected me to make here now, Michael, as I needed to log in again.
Yes, I just presented everything, so don't worry, should be fine. But we have a couple of questions in the Q&A session. So maybe, Louisa, we can, try to answer them shortly.
I just turn off my camera, so as it's taking a little bit bandwidth. Yeah.
So we have a question, number one, Louisa. As the prediction model is still in pilot phase, what is the big win to date on all of this work on raw material predictions? As I mentioned before, prediction is quite a complex topic. So we jointly with Volvo took the time to pilot this properly, and make also some, improve our experience there. And then the decision on how to roll this out and what type of information should be provided to the procurement staff is going to be decided in the future by Volvo. And so we are still in the piloting phase, building the knowledge on predictions.
But I think predictions in general would be actually very, very good to have. So it's very linked then to the finance and the forecasting and the hedging that you as a company need to work with. So it's not only a procurement tool as such, it's actually a finance tool as well.
One more question for you, Louisa. What is the biggest learning for Volvo out of this project?
Yep. I think one of the great learnings is that you need to have control of your raw materials. Raw materials have during until maybe last year been quite stable for some time, but it is now going up and it's going down. And we need to capture also when prices are going down. It's very easy if you don't have it clearly indexed and clearly in the system, that you actually miss out. Our suppliers are normally much more on their toes when it comes to this, and this might then be that we miss it out. So better control. It also will be very efficient. We will also then later on be able to connect it to a robot when it comes to actually connecting then the new prices and the orders out to our suppliers. So we see a lot of benefits with this. Standardized work, higher efficiencies, better control, and better forecasting when it comes to the financial impact.
Thank you, Louisa. There's one more question directed to me. When including the price index into the data lake, did we use open source? And how to connect commercial data providers? The answer is that both of those sources have been considered. Open source has been, of course, used as well, but Volvo also took the chance to involve commercial data providers and discuss the solution with them. And now in the future, they will also build an interface to directly upload their information into the Volvo system. And this, of course, is based on the discussion that Volvo has with those data providers. There are some more questions on manual inputs. Does the prediction model also consider manual inputs from the buyers? The answer is no, not at the moment. Okay, I think we are pretty much complete with our questions. Louisa, is there anything to add at the end of our presentation? Anything that we have not mentioned yet? And also to the audience, do you have any further questions?
There was a question there about maybe the different raw materials that we are included. And of course, we can add any raw material into this. And over time, when we go to more electrification, there will for sure be other materials that we are following than today. We have the lithium, we have the nickels, and so forth as well. So that is something that we continuously can do. Also upload new materials as we feel it's important. So it's a flexible tool as such.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
There's one complaint that we have not answered a question from Edwin. The question was on a specific data source. And the answer is yes, there are many different sources and data providers out there. The challenge that we have solved during this project was building a custom solution for Volvo that really meets the Volvo requirements.
Yeah, and also if we then look into the different indexes, we are collecting then different indexes and different data providers for the indices also into the tool. So that can be adapted depending on, the needs as well. Okay,
so thanks everyone for joining. I wish you all a good conference. Yeah. We are, of course, happy if you have any questions. You'll find us online. You'll find us on LinkedIn, wherever. Yeah. So we are happy to stay in touch and start a good discussion from there.
Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone. Bye-bye. Take care and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.